Hi, this is my market failure vodcast. So for part A, I meant to use a diagram to explain why the provision of healthcare in an economy is likely to require government intervention. Every society needs healthcare if they hope for it to be sustainable. However, healthcare is considered to be a merit good or even a public good. A merit good is a good that is considered by the government to bring positive benefits for people that use them and for society as a whole. A public good is a good that is beneficial to society and is non-excludable and non-rivalrous. However, there are certain situations where healthcare can be provided in a free market, thus being a quasi-public good. Because of the benefits that healthcare tends to bring into society, it is considered to be a positive externality of consumption. This is because of its ability to aid society in reducing the spread and the amount of disease in the workplace, in public, or even at home, thus strengthening the workforce. In other words, a positive externality of consumption is when the consumption of a good or service provides external benefits to third parties. Because there are more social benefits than there are private, marginal social benefit is greater than the marginal private benefit, which you can see from the diagram. Despite how providing workers with healthcare is a beneficial thing, there is only so much healthcare that firms can provide. The diagram shows that healthcare is produced at a quantity QE at a cost PE. Healthcare, being a merit good, needs to be produced at a higher quantity Q asterisk. By not doing this, the firm is not producing healthcare at the socially efficient level where both marginal social benefit is equal to marginal social cost. Therefore, there is a potential welfare gain formed from the units of QE to Q asterisk. Therefore, there is market failure. As a result, government intervention is likely to be required in the form of a subsidy. In this case, a subsidy would reduce the cost of production that firms need to pay for healthcare, thus increasing the quantity that is supplied and produced. This can be shown on this diagram as a shift of the supply curve to the right, which is represented as the new red curve labeled as S2, when the price is shifted from PE to P1 and the quantity of healthcare is shifted from QE to Q1. As you can see, the subsidy is not fully able to shift the quantity supplied to Q asterisk. However, it has reduced the amount of potential welfare gain from units QE to Q asterisk to only units Q1 to Q asterisk. For part B, question A, I'm supposed to use diagrams to explain how airplane flights may create either a negative externality of consumption or a negative externality of production. In this vodcast, I'll be choosing a negative externality of production. A negative externality of production is when the production of a good or service causes an overspill of negative effects to a third party. In order for airlines to produce flights for the high demand of flyers, a lot of fuel is used. That fuel that is used during plane flights creates emissions that are a main contributor to global warming, which will have huge repercussions on the environment in the present and in the future. This causes external costs to the community, which can be represented as marginal social costs that is greater than those costs paid by the airline companies, which can be represented as marginal private costs. This is why there is a negative externality. From the diagram, we can see that the production of flights made by airlines is at QE at a price of PE. However, the socially efficient level of production is at Q asterisk, where both the marginal social costs and marginal social benefits are equal. As a result, there is an overproduction from units QE to Q asterisk, which is also known as a welfare loss. Therefore, there is definitely a case of market failure. For part B of part B, I need to discuss the view that government policies are the best way to reduce the market failure caused by airline flights. Government policies are an effective way of reducing the market failure of airline flights. Governments could put a cap-and-trade system in place to reduce the output of fuel emissions that airlines produce. What this system does is that it has any firm that emits pollution buy permits at a certain price in order to pollute at a certain level. In other words, airlines companies will have a quota of emissions that they can produce when creating flights. Even a simple raise in taxes can be a method that the government uses to make airlines pay for the pollution created. Taxes act as a method for the government to internalize the externalities created, and at the very least, reduce the amount of deadweight burden, as an attempt to make the marginal private cost and the marginal social cost be equal to one another. This can be seen in the diagram as the taxation creates a shift in the price from PE to P1, as well as a shift in the quantity from QE to Q1. This in turn causes a shift of the marginal private cost, or the supply curve, to shift to the left, closer towards the marginal social cost. This is represented by the new red supply curve labeled marginal private curve plus tax. One problem with these methods is that the valuation of pollution is a very difficult thing to measure. Another is that these methods don't actually reduce the amount of pollution that is being produced. In a way, these methods can act as an incentive to become more green, or really just an incentive to run operations more efficiently. However, the revenue that government generates can be allocated towards reducing pollution. In conclusion, government policies may affect various firms and the people that work in them. However, it is the power that the government has, as well as their duty to make sure that resources are being allocated more efficiently, that makes their methods the most effective compared to others.